this new Sozo. If I can find the fucker. Right there. So we're going to put in this as a 0.022 microfarad. Sozo is the maker, and it's 400 volts. So it looks like these are supposed to be the closest for what the originals were. Just want to get the best sound. I can't really tell what it's supposed to sound like because I don't have a brand new 73 Marshall. Today we're working on a Marshall. I believe it's a 1987 model, and it's PCB. We changed out the caps here, electrolytic. So I'm just going to replace all these caps, and I replaced a few here. I got that one right there. That one is an orange drop, I think at 0.68, but I might get rid of that if it's not going to sound good. This one was already in the amp when I got it. Made in Germany. And so we're going to do some soldering here. Got the soldering going. Ready to crank. Got it at around 73. Between 70 75. This is the way I swing it for heavy duty, quick soldering. Most of the time it's around 65, 70. 70 is a good benchmark for most soldering. Once you get into doing like tabs and the heavier gauge, I think like 14, 16 gauge. If I have to do tabs, I crank it to 85. And we'll just get busy on this. Get some new caps in. Solder those in. What I do is I just take these and I hold on the lead, and then I unsolder from the back here. I don't want to take everything apart, so I can just unsolder it right here. And then I'll unsolder this lead and pull the cap out, and then immediately pop the new one in. So actually, if you're new to this, it might be good to just put a little dot at the bottom so you can at least find it. Maybe a red dot, so you don't put it in the wrong spot. Or take pictures like I did. Would I be better off gone? Would I be better off gone? With the workspace, really a lot of equipment going on and tubes, all this stuff. And amplifiers and measuring equipment. Underneath here, this tape was just a reminder because I already took this off. Already undid this, so I wanted to make a note. This one is for this titanium. I think I want to replace that.
Losses of the signal in the tone stack. Both of them did this, and surprisingly enough, the tone stacks are virtually identical, as are the presence controls. As you can see here in the treble, mid-range, and bass portions of the Marshall tone stack,
it's going to warm up a little bit.
they use a 0.0005 microfarad, whereas Leo went with half of that, 0.00025. But other than that difference, the two tone stacks are virtually identical. The Marshall presence control is...
Do you ever ask yourself, do I ever feel alone? Do you ever ask yourself, would I be better off gone? Do you ever ask yourself, do I ever feel alone?
Basically, we changed the mustard here, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We replaced these about 6 years ago. Same with the filter caps. Someone else put this in. It's from Germany. So this cap was already in there. Same with this. So we were getting a dry tone. It was like a real anemic sound. Very dry. Couldn't really distort. And when it did, if you crank down the master, it was like really like abrasive, sort of like a metallic sound. So now we have like a real full sound and rich, very rich sound. I believe we biased it to, we biased the Marshall, 1987 model, EL34s. We have Mullards, the old Mullards, vintage from whatever, maybe 30 years ago. 25 milliamps we got here, and then tube on the right back we got 23, 24, which is close enough. So that's the closest I've gotten so far on any of these, because the tubes are always off. You'd have to have like a bucket of them. So the plate voltage was 450, and then using the bias chart like I showed you earlier, EL34s, I have 450, and 33 milliamps is supposed to be good. I had 25, so 24, 25, say 25, and that's showing that I would be too low, 25. This is of course the Jim Jones bias table. It has it for different tubes. This didn't seem to do too much. This is going to the mid pot, or the treble, one of the two. So this one didn't do too much. We changed it from a 0.02 to 0.01. We use this to run through it. Didn't seem to do much. On this one that we have the wire leads on, it didn't seem to do too much, which was a 0.02. This is using the capacitance substitution box, model CS440. That's a 0.02. Changed it to 0.1, tried everything, it didn't seem to do a difference. So we're going to try on this orange drop, take that off and put this leads on here. Keep this at 0.02. And then now we're going to try using the box to see what we can come up with instead of this orange drop, which is at 0.01. So now we're going to put the substitution box on here. So the summary is here that it sounded better original at the 0.022 on both of these. I had tested numerous different tones on here, and goes to the wiper on the middle control. It's that pink one right there, which leads to here. That pink one right there. You can tune in that crunch, but you can't really get it once it's gone, so I left these original components the values that they were. The presence doesn't seem to do much, not sure why, but it doesn't do anything at all actually, to be honest. Right now we're just going into the #1 channel, and we tried 2 and that gets darker tones, so we're pretty much in a good place. So we can always make it a little darker. Film cap, ceramic disc cap, film cap. Sozos we put in. We did it previously, but we had some issue. We biased it and everything. But the problem was it had like a dry sound to it, where it would distort, but it was kind of harsh. And we ran into that problem with a Fender Twin, a 67. There were 9 resistors. Everything else besides 9 resistors we replaced. So we were debating whether we should tweak it. It had like a low end that had no ambience at all. Just one solid tone. Very dry sounding tone. And the top end didn't have ambience. Ice picky sound. So we changed the 9 resistors and it came to life. It sounds amazing. Fender Twin, 1967. And then a Supro, I think a 1606, a vintage one. Had a very dry sound and it wouldn't distort. I see they reissued them, so I checked it out on YouTube. and YouTube, we were able to listen to it, and it was distorting. So we changed like 7 resistors in that amp, and that came to life, and it distorts now. Resistors do go bad, regardless what you're being told. So we changed out all these resistors here. Metal film, I believe, half watts. And then there was some here, but you can't tell the difference really. I think it was these two. Those are 1 watt. Like how the old composite resistors, you could tell the difference in size, but nowadays you can't tell. It's hard to say. And even the ones that we had here, I mean, that's a 1 watt obviously, and these I think are maybe half watt. Not sure if these were metal film or not, but we got 1 watt for this and half watts for these. We're going to change this cap right here. I think it's cracked on this side. Change that and that resistor, and then there's I believe a grid stopper resistor here. That one we're going to put a metal film too. We should have got a higher value, but we got half watt. Then we'll change these, even though they usually don't go bad. But since we're having issues with the amp, may as well just change those out too. These filter caps were changed out probably about 5 years ago. So those are still good, and then the one under here, that's fine. And we changed out the ceramic cap, just in case. This was put on recently. This tantalum was replaced probably about a year ago. That was for some type of mod, I don't know. It has the master volume. They just put it on the speaker jack and mounted it. That just runs to the board. Jeez, stars. Might as well put all the stars on first. These definitely like to fall off, that's for sure. They don't like to stay put too long. Using 2 of these little wafer cardboard things. So it all sounds good as stock, so we're going to put it back together. We got the Mullard tubes, which we had for a while. Those are rated at, let's see, the XFT. Anyway, these are the double getters, and they match up pretty good. I think they're number 8s on a orange tube test. I left the 3 amp because that's what was here. Looks like it was a homemade sticker, but apparently this is how it came from the factory. This, because there is a master volume, so maybe he put that on at the same time, I don't know. 16 ohms, they're running 2 speakers, a vintage 30 and some other one. I'm going to leave this here for 12AX7 3, and it came out 8 plus 9 for the triode on a orange tube tester V1000. So we got valve 1, and it came out as number 8 on a orange tube tester, and then 2 came 8 and 10, and 3, 8 and 9. I think this is a Mullard, so something British, just a ruby and ruby, I guess. What we want to do first is clean all these sockets. This is the last stage of the amp. Last time we're going to have it apart. Although the back you can take them out, but it's better to do it now. So I want to make sure all these pins are clean on these tube preamps, the preamp tubes, and the sockets. Make sure those are clean and lubricated. If they weren't lubricated, then I haven't finished it yet, because that's what I did. I sprayed, I either put some Vaseline on it or I use this deoxit. Sometimes I'll use this. I interchange them. It depends how bad it is. If it's bad, then I'll put this. As long as they're clean and they're lubricated, they won't corrode for a while. So hopefully. And then wipe this with a paper towel. Always save the old parts, like the old mustard caps. Save those in case you need them. You want to change them. You want to sell the amp. Someone else can put those back in. Some tech if he wants to. These are just other ones I was going to try. Some, I believe they're Spragues. So we're going to put the knobs on. But I'm going to put a little bit of oil because it looks like it needs some. And just put a little bit on here, just right in on the screw, so because they're all rusted. So. The last thing you want to do is bend the pin. Take the tube straightener, go through this way, and go through the other side. That will make sure that they're for sure straight. Okay, that looks pretty good. So. Here's two leads. This is brown, green, black. I believe that's 100 ohm. I just use a digi key chart right here to get all the values. You can also type them in, which I've been doing when I was ordering parts to make sure they're accurate. You just put in the first color, second, third, and it tells you what the value is. Brown, so 150 ohms. Or just take one of these and put it on here if you want. I usually hold them, but you just go in here and hit the positive side, which is right here. The negative, of course, is going to ground, so you don't have to worry about that. Get this, and then I usually zap these ones here. Positive end is the crinkled side. Think of it as the top of a can or something. These we can swap out easy enough later if we need to. But we'll leave the labels on for now. This has the label on it. What the tube tester tested at. So that number 3 actually where it's supposed to be. And I got some other tubes here. It looks like Mullards and Tunsil or something like that. Some Mullards. So this is a Mullard. So the 1 is just the first spot in the amp. Number 9 is the gain, how much gain it had. So as far as the speaker, what I'm using for speakers, I'm running this cord right here. That goes over to here, which is just a certain tone amp. I'm just using it now, just have clips. So it's good to have these clips, and then I have another cable that's got this on one end and this on the other. So I can actually hook this on the speaker, and then this I can put on the other end. We were testing the Marshall, but apparently the tone generator here doesn't beat the input jack. Seems to be faulty. So